Hey everybody, this is your Sensei Bob, and hey, it's carnival time. Yes, it's time for Dreamy Dreamland with Sensei Bob. I, your host, the Griot, Sensei Bob, welcomes you to our channel, Dreamy Dreamland with Sensei Bob. And I want to remind everyone that this is for entertainment's sake. Nothing is real. We don't believe in anything. This couldn't be happening. This is America. Hey! Hey, can you hear me? My microphone fell out of my ear. Hey, it's all the voices are coming. Rotate device. Hey, which way do I rotate the device? There we go. Rotating the device. The device is rotated. Remember, this is just for entertainment's sake. So, mom and dad, kick off the shoes, find a nice chair, relax, get a libation, put the kids to bed, the cat outside. Remember, nothing is real, right? Ooh, are those ghosts? Ooh. What are they, the ghosts of? Oh, the people who've died in wars? All the children? Ooh. Oh, how about these guys? Oh, what are those? Those look like skulls and crossbones. Ooh. It's, just the usual stuff. They're packing them in, that's for sure. Anyway, so where's my hand? Oh, there we are. Hey, it's Uncle Sam. He's here. So, what do you think? What's going on in Venezuela? They have no power. Why is that? Well, maybe it's because Mossad went in and did some, what do they call it, when you blow things up, And they caused a software package to be put in the control, which gave a total meltdown of the transformers of this big dam that they built back in the 60s and 70s that gave the whole country of Venezuela electricity and brought controlled fresh water to everyone's drinking, right? And brought water to the farms for irrigation, And Mossad did a little bit of, what do they call it? When you cause things, just kind of like the Subnet software package that was put into the Iranian reactor centrifuges that kind of melted it all down. There's a word for that. Anyway, so why would, but don't believe me. Hey, it wasn't Mossad. Maybe it was. I don't know. Hey, I wasn't there. But why would they even be interested? Well, the same reason why they've been real buds with Saudi Arabia, because they want to control the Mideast. And Venezuela has more oil than the Mideast, right? So have you seen any news from Venezuela lately, right? And you see people there and they're going to work. I mean, yeah, they've got no lights, but they're going to work. There's no rioting, really. And there are a few people out there demonstrating, but there's no riots. When I lived in Williamsburg, Brooklyn, man, I was going over the Williamsburg-Brooklyn Bridge right at the time of the 1970 something blackout in New York City, right? And that's when I was being driven from my job as the Disco King from Times Square all the way to Williamsburg, Brooklyn. And right when we were at the top of the Williamsburg Bridge and I was looking over at Manhattan, I saw bingo. First Queens went out, then Upper Manhattan went out, and then all of Manhattan went out, and then Brooklyn went out. And there was no lights in all of New York City. And the only lights I saw were coming down the FDR Drive, and it looked like a snake. And when we got down at the bottom of the Williamsburg Bridge on the other side, and we came up Broadway to Roebling's, all the Hasidim were opening up their gates to their shops and stores so that people could loot it without destroying their shops. And they were saying, like, go ahead, take everything, just don't, destroy the place, which they did. They're very nice. They, carried out the TVs and the gallons of ice cream, and it's like a carnival. And that was just within the first, half hour. Just what was quite interesting in the New York City blackout was that crime dropped to zero, meaning violent crime. Violent crime dropped to zero, and the rioting, not rioting, but looting. They kind of looted everything. Festival, but not in Venezuela. You don't see that in Venezuela, right? And so why did this happen? Well, because one of the reasons the, Washington, D.C., the powers that shouldn't be, have been trying to go after Venezuela for the last, 5, 6 years. And really, they haven't been able to break the back of Venezuela. They have all of these, you can't trade with Venezuela, can't sell them anything, can't buy oil, can't do any of the above. And still Venezuela keeps going. So they said, oh, well, we'll send in the Mossad guys with the software package, which will crash. And not only that, will burn up. They had a transformer meltdown, a cascade effect. Boom, boom, boom. And these transformers are gigantic. They're the size of diesel locomotives. They weigh hundreds of tons. And they're very, very expensive. And the companies that, GE, Westinghouse, they're not going to sell them. They wouldn't even sell them parts, let alone, gigantic multi-million-dollar transformers. And it cascaded, burned them all out. So Venezuela is not going to have electricity for any time soon. And the fresh water that this brought to the nation is going to go away because all the pumps that pumped it, all of the apparatus that purified it, not going to happen, right? And all of the water that went into the, farms, not going to be there. So why are they doing this? Why? Because Venezuela was, they were cut out of all the banking, so they were going into cryptocurrency. They were changing their money into crypto that was worth something, and they would, instead of us who sell our petrodollar worthlessly with treasury notes that are just not even worth the paper and ink, Venezuela was going to commoditize with their oil. They got more oil in Venezuela than pretty much the Mideast, right? And China was all ready for it. That's what the BRICS thing was all about. Brazil was all ready for it. Chile was all ready for it. And that's why you've had a restart of all the warring, those terrible Cubans and Venezuelans and, really? You have to look at every war that America has been in, and it's all about banking, all about banking. Why did we have our Revolutionary War? Because King George, the thing they always go, taxation without representation. Well, it wasn't about tea. No one drank tea except the Anglophiles, right? No. What it was that King George wanted America to use British pound notes from the central bank where, you hear the term the City of London. The City of London is a country unto itself, right? It has nothing to do with England, the UK. Just like, where the Pope lives in Rome, that's the Vatican. That's the Vatican City. And they have their own representatives in countries. So does the City of London, all right? And this whole thing with Brexit, it's not going to affect the City of London. They'll do fine by it. The rest of the country is going to be trashed, but their assets, they will do fine because they lend money on interest, and the Rothschilds are the people at the bottom of all of this. Now, the Rothschilds, Rockefellers, all of those families, the Queen of England, they're just poster children, and so is the Illuminati. Illuminati, through the Council on Foreign Relations, the Trilateral Commission, and the Bilderbergs, those are just poster children of the hidden hand. And the hidden hand goes back 16 billion years. Humanity's been on this planet, Earth, for 1,000,000 years, not six. Our culture doesn't go back 6,000 years. It goes back 1,000,000 years, you have the Sumerians, the Egyptians, the Mesopotamians, the Babylonians, then the Greeks, then the Romans, then the Holy Roman Empire, and then the English, the French, the Tudors, the Spanish. So America had its revolution because, King George wanted us to use, money from a central bank, meaning each pound, like 1 pence was the value of that 1 pound. The other 99% of that pound was interest, debt. And that's why American, our founding fathers, who owned lots of real estate but didn't have a lot of money, didn't want to lose everything to interest of debt. And the only person who was down with that was Hamilton. Why do you think they made a musical about him? The bankers wanted to, say how great Hamilton was, right? So we've had this interesting little economic dance and war, All the wars we've ever had were straight up connected to banking, right? And came from Babylonian money magic, lending, into debt. Because before that, money was just, it was a greckle, a piece of gold, and that gold was worth X. And you could buy X amount of wheat or whatever with that greckle. But then we started to have money that was just an existential representation of that greckle, right? And then they started, first they had the coin, and then they started cutting the coin in half. And our Federal Reserve, the guys who print our money, are a private stock-held corporation, have nothing to do with the federal government, have nothing to do with the Treasury Department, have nothing to do with you except they own you, right? So, bottom line, what happened? So we go to war with England, we fight over that. So for the first, before the War of 1812, our currency was printed by the Treasury and it was backed by a commodity, right? Whatever we had that was worth something. We had the War of 1812. What was that about? It was to basically kindle this thing called the special relationship between England and the United States. And basically, England came up the Potomac, burnt DC to the ground, and said, "Okay, bitches," talking to the doddering old guys who are now, in their 80s. So listen, bitches, you either do what we say, or we're going to kill everyone. You think burning DC, we're going to burn everything down, and then start over again. We don't give a fuck. And that's exactly what they said. I didn't be pejorative. I mean, that's what they said. So, bango, we went into the special relationship. We were the bitches of, the Tudor family, of the Rothschilds, right? And then the manager class came in, and that was like, the Rockefellers and the Morgans, all the old wealth, the Astors, the Biltmores, all of the Why do they think they called it the robber barons? Because they robbed everything from the indigenous people. You know. And why did we just start with 13 colonies? We're here almost 300 years. Why? Because there were close to 6 million indigenous people in the middle of America. From the Tennessee Valley all the way to California. And it wasn't until the mud flood wiped them out that when that was about 60 years before the Civil War. And then after the Civil War was all about the new economy, So France and England backed the South. They wanted to take America back. And most people in your little high school history books why did the North win? Because Russia came in with first, France and England gave the South all the money they needed, right? Through Mr. Rothschild. Then the French and the English put their navies on the northeast coast, so the North couldn't bring anything in, right? And so the Russians, you never heard this one, the Russians came, put their navy on our coast, and shushed the French and the English away because they actually had a badder-ass navy. And they gave Mr. Lincoln $100 million in gold to finance, without interest, to finance. That's why Russia is our buddy. I mean, has always been, always will be. And what better person to pretend that you're an enemy than your buddy, right? I mean, who brought in Marx, Lenin, Hegel, all those guys to bring down the Tsar? The English bankers and the the Anglo bankers did that, right? They brought in Lenin and Trotsky in jails. World War I, the freaking English Navy brings them into Germany that they were fighting a war. And why did we have a war? I mean, World War I started because somebody killed some guy in Sarajevo. So it started out with Hungary and a few other things. And because some people had a pact, they went to war. And the real reason was to bring Germany down, because Germany was becoming an industrial might because they were not letting Mr. Rothschild, come in and set up a central bank. They had a government bank printing the money and backing it by gold and silver. And that's why we went to war with Germany. Germany had no stick in the fight. They just had a piece of paper saying that they would protect so-and-so. But it was all done. You go read any books written by Mr. Winston Churchill, because he was there at the time, and so were the brothers. The guys the airport is named after. The guy who started the CIA. So this is all connected, right? And so, why did we go attack? In '91 we went after Saddam Hussein. He went and asked April Gladsby, "Hey, listen, Kuwait used to be part of Iraq, back in the day, like 10 years ago, and then the English, BP and the Dutch oil shell got the politicians at the UN to put a dotted line across Iraq and make Kuwait, right? And they got a third of all the oil of Iraq is in Kuwait. Hey, we want that. Are you going to do anything if we go after them? At that time, Iraq was our ally. We sold them, Mr. Rumsfeld sold Mr. Saddam Hussein billions of dollars worth of weapons when they were fighting the war against, our alleged enemy, Iran, right? The Iran-Iraq war. And, the good old Iran-Contra thing was we were giving weapons to Iran to fight our client state, Iraq, And that is way wars have all gone. Good old Prescott Bush was trading with the Nazis, giving them exotic fuels for their fighters, which, the Luftwaffe couldn't fly if Mr. Prescott Bush wasn't selling additives, right? And ball bearings. And he did it to the end of the war. And he was one of the guys who precipitated, through the brothers, the Operation Paperclip. And, just go Google Operation Paperclip. Go Google Breakaway Civilization. Go look at what Laura Eisenhower, I think that's her name, has to say about this. I mean, all of this stuff is on the YouTube. Again, Dreamy Dreamland with Sensei Albob is strictly totally an entertainment, right? We're just here to entertain, right? Well, we've been going on for about 20 minutes, 21 minutes and 1 second. And that's what's going on in Venezuela, right? So Venezuela wanted to, go into cryptocurrencies, which, Wall Street couldn't really cut back or even, see where it was going. But cryptocurrencies, the most expensive thing of cryptocurrency isn't that it goes from 10 cents to $30,000 a coin. No, it's the electricity that those servers need to use. And that's going to be the death of cryptocurrency, is the utilization of electricity. Anyway, that's why they pulled the plug on Venezuela, so they couldn't use cryptocurrency to do an end run, because Donald Trump wants to invade, Iran, wants to invade, Venezuela, wants to invade Cuba, and they're also going to have a war with good old North Korea. They're training for it right now. Again, go do your homework. Go Google these things. And and your children and your husbands and your daughters are going to wars. Not to mention, it's going to destroy our economy. And once the U.S. dollar stops being the petrodollar, baby, because we are in hundreds of trillions of dollars of debt, and everybody and his brothers' treasury notes are worth something, but China, Japan, Brazil, all the BRICS wanted to start a new economy based on cryptocurrency. And basically, what's going to happen? Why did Richard Nixon? Our treasury notes were backed by gold. 1971, we went off the gold standard, and then people go, ooh. And then what did he do? He started the EPA. And the EPA wasn't there because he was such a great guy and he was worrying about the environment. No, he wanted to commoditize real estate. So he put about a third of U.S. real estate into a blind trust and then sold that off as a commodity to back our treasury. It says they can't build their house where it was before. Oh, it's too dangerous, blah, 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 blah. No. They want to depopulate. They want to stack and pack everyone in California in these areas that they can control, and then have the very nice little domed things for the uber rich. And then the other 3/4 of California will be, again, commoditized for foreign investors. Yep. So now we're at, look at that, 24 minutes and 24 seconds. I love it when a synchronistic moment happens. So we're going to go into state, in a few minutes, once more people show up. Oh, there goes one. And we're going to, remote view all of this. We're going to go into all of those secret rooms where generals and representatives of the Bilderbergs and the Council on Foreign Relations. We're going to go into all of those rooms, and we're going to see these guys in their, command and control. We're going to see them talking about killing millions of people, and you'll be able to see it for real. Whoops, there goes the illusion. You see the guy with a bald head now. Yeah, Mr. Egghead. That's all I am. I'm an egghead. Come on, there's got to be more people commenting. That's all you got to say? Come on. Come on, Jane. What do you think of what I just said? Am I full of crap? Am I entertaining? Rotate. Rotate device. Which way do you want it? So what do you think, guys? Ready for war? It's going to come any day now. We might even have aliens invade. You know, they're coming out with this movie on the 15th about aliens invading, and that's always a good little thing to put into. And there's so much weird shit going in the sky. Go on the old YouTube, and oh man, there is woo. So here's a good story. So one of the reasons I came to this neck of the woods was I was asked to go investigate, cults. There's this thing called Satan's Highway, and it goes from Lexington down 81 south to Johnson City, Tennessee, where 26 crosses 81. And then it goes all the way down to Asheville. And so I was asked to go check it out. And one of the weirdest places I found, I mean, a lot of weird places along that highway, but along Bedford, between New Boston and Blacksburg, along a county road, I forget what number it is. Anyway, I was poking around there, and I got it, one of my best covers is I get a job because I'm such a great electrician. I can virtually go anywhere and get a job as an electrician. But today you can't do what I used to do. I used to just roll into I'd find the real good electric supply house, go there at 8 in the morning, eat donuts and drink coffee, and wait for the person who was about to tear their hair out. And I would go over, so you got a problem. What's your problem? And we'd talk. They would be the boss. And I said, I think I can help you out. And so they would explain why they were tearing their hair out. And I said, well, we can do this and we could do that, and I can help you out doing this. And I said, I'll work for the first 3 days for nothing. And if I suck or you can't stand me or you can just say leave, and I'll leave, right? And virtually every time I did that, they would say, oh, I need you. Please, I stay. Please, I'll give you so much money. Please, just help me. So that was always my cover. I could go into any city, any town, any county, and become, the farmer electrician or the city electrician or the artist electrician or the mystical electrician. The stupid thing wants me to rotate. Well, I guess no one to me talking about things like that. But hey, heck, I don't care. Yeah, there we go. Now we're down to 1. So come on, people now. Smile on your brother. They get together. Gotta love one another right now. Right now. Right now. Yeah. Nobody's there. Well. Oh, yeah. Well, let's see. It's anybody there? Ooh, it's 32, 32. I love it when a synchronistic movement happens. Well, let's see. Findings. Well, was that finding enough for you? Did that get to you? A last ride. But buddy, I kind of gave a little historical context to banking and politics. They own our ass, and everyone kind of gets distracted by eating cheeseburgers. It's the old bread and circus motif. Um, oh, there's one. Anthony, did you hear my little song and dance? Anyway, so I was kind of talking about what's going on in Venezuela and why they have, and I'm not going to go through it all over again because you can just go back and watch this later on, right? But what I was going to do, and I shall do, here it is, 33 minutes and 34 minutes, and I'm going to basically do a guided visualization, and I'm going to, basically our guided visualizations can be used as remote viewing. So I was going to take you into all of those closed rooms of the Council on Foreign Relations and the Trilateral Commission and the Bilderberg and, all of the, military, there is the, what did I call it? I came up with a good term. The Profidius military industrial scholastic banking powers that shouldn't be. So guys, go look up that word perfidious, Perfidious. A beautiful word. Really, really, it's like if you wanted to fit a whole paragraph in your mouth, that one word would do it, right? And it's not just the military-industrial complex. It's the military-industrial scholastic banking powers that shouldn't be. These guys rule and run, and they shouldn't, right? Because they do not have the best interest of Homo sapiens sapien in their back pocket, because they represent, the ancient ones and not the happy ones, the Dracos and the Greys and the Ebens and the tall whites. And these guys would, love eating humans as a taste treat, That's why we have wars, because they feed on the misery. Humans aren't meant to, we don't, what do we want to do? We want to eat Doritos and have sex. That's about it. We're really not a warring crew. You're like, oh, it's our caveman. No, it's, if it's anything, it's the reptile stem of our cerebral cortex. But even that is more fuzzy, because not all reptiles are bloodthirsty. They got cold blood, they're really not. I've met some really nice snakes, I've met some really nice reptiles, Folks with, reptiles with 2 legs, 2 hands, 2 eyes, 2 ears, 1 mouth, a nose. But they're reptiles, right? But they were nice. They didn't want to eat anybody. They actually wanted the human race to get along. They didn't want to have war. Because every race has a crew that is trying to ascend to their conscious free will. Now, some of the species of every race have so diluted their conscious free will, their soul per se, to the point where they don't have one on, and they have, put perfidious nature in their way. Go look that word up, perfidious. Anybody of the three of you know what perfidious? Again, I'll spell it for you. Perfidious. Go look that word up. Yeah, that is interesting. Everything you said is interesting. Deceitful and untrustworthy. And that's who's running our governments. And their tools are the military, industrial, scholastic. I spent a good 30 years in universities as a scholar, not a scholastic. I never plump myself down and say, "Oh, I'm a historian of blah blah blah, and I want to be a tenured professor." No, I would be hired by somebody who wanted to understand X, Y, or Z, realized X, Y, or Z university would probably have the better group of people, and then they would hire that university to be, to have the study there, right? And use their resources, their facilities, and they would pay for them. And they would send me in as the guy who wasn't in the box, who would listen and read and study what they were doing, be part of the study, and constantly say, "Hey, we should be looking at this and not this. But it's in the textbook. It says it's, that's why we should be looking at this." And the people paying you money want it that way. And I had the authority to be able to do that. And I was never the boss, but I was always the guy who was hired to be outside the box. And the person who was running it, who had the real authority, would say, "Yeah, Al's right. Let's do it that way," right? Because that's what I was there for. To make the guy in charge look good. Yes, I repeat, that's what a griot does, buddy. I'm a griot, the guy who tells the story. And I keep telling the story until someone, what do I always say, Mr. What's your name? Mr. Ride. What do I say, Mr. Ride? Don't believe a word I say. Go check it out for yourself, Mr. Ride. Maybe you could tell the story. I'd love to hear you say something interesting, even though you use that word interesting once. Let's see. Interesting to get the concept of representing under your belt. Ooh, is that an angle or an angel? Angel, I'm representing this, that, the other, representing light, a figure idea, carrying the individual. Well, I guess you're working for Satan, which is, Satan. Ooh, Mr. Satan's okay. He was manufactured. I wasn't talking about you, Al. Okay, good. I'm always happy when no one's talking about me. That's my, I like to be in the background. I was talking about the repeaters. Well, I have to say, okay, history, the scholastics, they are the repeaters. Okay, I get you. Okay, Mr. Wright, got it. Right? But as a griot, that's what griots do, buddy. We repeat the story because no one, why do I write the way I write? Mr. Wright, have you gone and read anything I let on my blogspot, my xratted.blogspot.com, right? It's all my freaking destiny. You think I chose to do any of this? No. But navigate through it and have a good time, right? And again, what are my 3 rules? Doctor, do no harm. Number 2, do not get involved unless I can have a positive outcome, and I protect the innocent and get them out of harm's way. And number three, I don't get involved unless I can learn something. My three rules. My grandma gave me 28 other rules, like living like a millionaire without being one, never working for anybody unless they need you more than you need them. They need me more than I need them. Number three, never lie, cheat, or steal because there is no positive upshot. But if you have to, because of the first three rules of doctor never do any harm, get a positive outcome and protect the innocent and get them out of harm's way and learn something. Those are the only three reasons to do lying, cheating, and stealing. But you can never do that unless you can get away with it, right? Because the karmic side of doing it to help others so outweighs whatever that you get away with it. But it's too difficult. I really don't even go to that part of the thing. I just never lie, cheat, or steal because it's just too difficult. It's like you got to remember all this stuff. You got to spend your whole life worrying about this and that. But if you don't lie, cheat, or steal, you don't have to worry about anything. I don't worry about anything. I've been plowing through a few books and you inspired me to do that. Good. I'm glad. That's, I try to lead by example. In the past, a few months, I'm really digging in on the first person understanding of the relative perspective. Yes, the artist in the first person, and what is that? That is the aboriginal mind. And what is the aboriginal mind? When you are at one with all our relations, when you don't have any fear of the other, that is, the bohemian, the artist in the first person as the savage, and what is the savage? The best kind of example of the savage is the character in, Orwell's Brave New World, right? And, storyline is they're out there in the woods and they find this white guy, really handsome, and he's living with nature, right? And so the guys from the universities, the scholastics, take him back, right? Because he represents the savage, and that's what they call him the whole time. But he is the smartest, the most eloquent, the most indigenously empathetic. The culture of Brave New World is mechanical. Everyone's taken so much, automatically. They are self, controlling because, the best slave to have is the one who thinks he's free, right? Chosen one, not so much. No, I am your sensei Al Bob, your griot, your storyteller. Yep, exactly. Now I lead by example. I don't say, do as I say, not as I do. Why that pebble works is because I lead by example. But I'm not saying I'm the chosen one. I've done everything I could to stay out of the spotlight. It never works out well. I serve at the pleasure of love's co-creation. I serve my ascended masters, who are my teachers, right? And that's what I'm here to do, to bring forth all our relations to step up to their superconscious mind of their free will, and not the other way around. Our free will is being demeaned by the materialism. Hey, if you got a free will, you can do whatever you want. Yeah, you can go shoot people. You can destroy this. You can wipe out as many species and, go crap in your nest, destroy your planet. See what we care,
And the powers that shouldn't be, all of those creatures that have no soul, that have no free will, they're still being controlled. Even though Lucifer destroyed the hegemony of heaven, they're still controlled, right? But it's sick. It's been plagiarized. It's been broken. When Lucifer broke heaven, that was the Big Bang. That's what brought on this illusionary universe, and that's all it is. This isn't everything. This is like a grain of sand, even if it's that. And the fact that the Big Bang, beginning, middle, and end, Alpha and Omega, happened like that. But for it to have validity under the construct of love's co-creation, we had to get something out of it. We had to have those. Where do you think I got the 3 freaking rules of doctor, do no harm? Don't get involved unless you get a positive outcome by, protecting the innocents and getting them out of harm's way and learning something. Bing, ling, ling, ling. That's what we're here to do. We're all the chosen ones when we step up to it, because we lead by example. And every day in every way, we take the piece of the earth and make it stronger. That's what we're here to do. Not to have a career, not you're homeless, scholar. All through the ages, there's the sage guy he's basically homeless. He's just kind of strolling through, taking care of the things that need to be done in the best of ways, right? See it clearly. And that's that's what the cadre's calling is to do that in the pond. And as one of our brethren said, we're the pebble in the pond that makes the tsunami of love, right? Okay. So 49 and 20, and we're up to 7, folks. We're getting close to the magic number. We get past 7 into 8, 9, 10. We're going to go and have a guided meditation. Going to have fun. We're going to remote view, meaning when I bring you into state, that gives you the ability to remote view anything. What do you think you got that Akashic record for? You can see anything on screen. Just, Yep. Well, that's, right. That's kind of what I do. An hour before I do this, I meditate. I go into state. I spend another hour or 2 during the day reading things that you guys send me. It's great. It's, I don't have to go dig stuff. You guys go send it to me. Where do you think I got the info on who blew up the dam in Venezuela and why it's being done? Yes, I then went and remote viewed it and said, oh, yeah, this guy's right. And that came from you guys. You guys posted up for me. You either put it on the Dude Awake 42 Gmail, which is very nice because then I have the link, or you just put it in that little inbox thing. And I still have no idea what I'm doing. I have no idea about any of this, the technology of any of this. I can, what I'm experimenting with is sending shamanic energy across a digital platform. You're not supposed to be able to do that, but I am doing that because it's not me doing it. It's love's co-creation. I am living by example, showing you guys how to do it. I am your griot. I am your Sensei Al-Bab. I am not the chosen one. We are all the chosen one. All our relations are the chosen one. Not because when you pick one guy, it's easy to knock that guy off, right? It's easy to not be responsible for your own actions when, hey, it's Jesus who did this, Muhammad who did this. Well, Muhammad was a prophet. What do we say? Blessed are, the words of, the prophet Muhammad. And the person, if you want to read, and you should read Islamic text and history, the folks who are really interesting are the guys who came after Muhammad, his 2 grandchildren. Their story is great because the Persians tried to whack them because they weren't Islamic, And there was this leader who kind of, again, this is what happens all the time. Things that are really good get corrupted. You look at Christianity, what did Gandhi used to say about Christians? He goes, I really like Jesus. I try to run my life by his teachings. It's just his followers who are dickheads, or he would say, Richard craniums. Dick, Richard, head, cranium, or as the folks in New Zealand would call helmet heads, right? So, come on, we're down to 6. You got to get to 8 before we go there. Anyway. That's, again, thank you very much, but I'm just your griot, right? The output comes from my interaction with love's co-creation. Whenever more than 2 come together in my name, and the name is love's co-creation, people get stuck up on names and people and this master and that master. Not so much, because it's all, going up that ladder of enlightenment. And that's why we keep coming back. And that's why I'm doing this. I've died 6 times and never died enough, right? And that's because my master said, listen, we want you on the other side in Shambhala or wherever else you want to go. But you got to finish the job. Keep at it. That's why we keep, getting you to come back. And yes, everything you do, so I spent 10 years in the swimming pool of chocolate mousse of hedonism. And I needed to do that. I didn't know I needed to do that, but I needed to do that. And, when I died in that plate of spaghetti, I was being, and I was on the other side, and all my masters, hey, great job. I said, what do you mean? I just kind of slept off for a bit. No. You had to do that. I did. We don't ever get the 411 on what we're supposed to be doing. It's how we do it, the intent, right? So wherever you are, there you are. Wherever you go, there you are. Whatever you're doing, there you are. It's your intent when you are involved in those scenarios that really make the diff. So even though, I was, as they say, living the life of Riley, it was the intent I was bringing to all the people that I worked with, all that corporate. I made an effect. I was that little pebble. Why did I, have over 100? I have really no idea how many, but I did it for 10 years and maybe, 10, okay, 10 by 10 is 100. No, what is 10 by 10? Is 10 by 10 100? Maybe. Anyway, somewhere near that many gigs, right? When I was the negotiator, right? Where it was the desperate lawyers brought me in because they couldn't do it. I had to come in and do what I do with you guys with corporate people. And that's what made me sick. I was exposed to that kind of icky energetics of the reptiles. But like I said, I met a lot of nice reptiles. So reptiles who came up and said, they would like pat me on the shoulder and not bite me in the neck, but cry, thank you so much for giving me a shot. Give me a chance, letting me to... That's why I did it. I didn't know that's why I did it. It wasn't until I died in that plate of spaghetti that, and I went to the other side and my masters were patting me on the back and had balloons for me. And I said, oh, good. I can relax. No. You got to go back. What do you mean I got to go back? Yep. You got to go back and you got more to do. And you better do it because this is the 6th time. You got another 3 times. Every time you do this, how good do you feel? I said, every time I do it, I feel worse physically. It like kind of takes a notch out of me. So I'm going full steam ahead, because I don't want to have to do this 2 more times, God knows, I just love it when people go, oh, my life sucks, everything sucks. And they're like in perfect health, there's nothing wrong with them, and why, there's nothing wrong with you. Yeah, well, go talk to my doctors, they can't believe I'm still alive. My endocrinologist says I'm the healthiest dead guy he knows. My podiatrist and my bone doctor say, how do you walk? You're missing, your neuropathy have dissolved. You have charcoal legs. They're bones you don't have in your legs anymore, and they're not coming back. And there is no stick and pin, I meditate every day. 5, 6 times, and that's how I walk. Well, every day is a challenge, but as I was trying to tell other people, those challenges are really a blessing because they make you step up. They show you things. Oh yeah, okay, that's okay. Got it. And I'm a moron a good 10, 20% of the time. Yes, I'm awake. I am your Sensei Al Bob 80% of the time. I am your griot 80% of the time. I am your shamanic, psychosocial, cultural, forensic, anthropologic alchemist 80% of the time. And that's pretty good for, a guy, your basic mud puppet. But I came here for a reason. You go read my XRATTED. There's a lot of little stories and where I came from and why I'm doing here and how I'm doing it. And it's written shamanically, so it's on about 15 different levels. I had a buddy of mine who used to work for a publishing house, and he was high. He was a big time publisher. He was a guy who pushed books, blah blah blah, and he loved reading my stuff. But he would always say, Al, you are like James Joyce on acid. I said, yeah. He goes, no one's going to read this shit. I said, yeah. He goes, you write this for yourself. I go, well, me and you read it for me. I had to write it 26 times to get it right for those 6 times. Okay, look, we got to the oh, look at that. It's 59 minutes and 14 seconds. We did under an hour. Okay, so everybody get into a relaxed space and let us go into state. Okay, everyone, put your body in a chair, lie in a bed, get someplace so your body won't collapse or fall over. Don't do this standing up. And relax. And remember, kids, this is all about entertainment. But we're going to go remote view the, as I was calling it. Let's see, get it into light. See what I wrote down here. The perfidious corporate, military, industrial, scholastic, banking powers that shouldn't be. We're going to go remote view all those guys. And we're going to go see them talk about killing 3/4 of the human race, Agenda 21. What the Georgia Stones say, right? And we're going to see them in meeting rooms, in underground facilities, talking to the alien races, seeing the deals they're making. We're going to go back to the 1810s when the powers that shouldn't be, the Illuminati cats and kittens, seriously got involved. Okay, sounds like fun, entertainment, Okay, so everyone's comfy, everyone's safe. I'm going to, some people are bailing. Anyway, who's ever there, we're not. Oh, look at that. 1 hour, 1 minute, and 1 second. Perfect timing. Okay, here we go. So everyone breathe. Breathe that 20% in, right? Right. Breathe out 30%. And for you to do this, mind has to be totally focused on. Will shut all in the cage of your Rolodex mind. That's all your mind is in the Rolodex. That's not where you exist. You exist. Your body is not you. Your body is an avatar. And you are connected. Conscious free will is in your Akashic record. It is in that book, right? From the Alpha to the Omega, it's right in there. And all the tools you need to understand all of this is right in your Akashic record and in your superconscious mind and in your lodge and in the house of, the Oracle of Delphi. Okay? Okay. And it's there with your cadre. So say we all. It is there. And you are there, being the cadre, because you are serving love's co-creation within the construct of serving and bringing home all our relations. So say we all. And you are part of the chorus when you are part of the live chat. And you are part of the shock troops of love's co-creation. See it clearly. All that I say, see it clearly. And in every day and every way, take the piece of the earth and make it stronger. And through your conscious free will, you will ascend to our Father, who art in heaven. Hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come. Thy will be done on earth as is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. As it was in the beginning, is now, ever shall be, world without amen. From the Alpha to the Omega. And every day we take the piece of the earth and we make it stronger with love's co-creation, the great maker of all things, from the Alpha to the Omega. See it clearly that the illusionary world of Lucifer that we exist in is simply our sandbox to learn how to play nice with the other kids. See it clearly. There is no real evil except the evil that we allow ourselves through the illusion. When we, embrace the illusion, that's the evil. But there is no inherent evil because all things are made by love's co-creation. And why? Why is there no God? Why is God? No, he does all these terrible things. No, God does not do these terrible things because there is no God, God, if you take that word back to the Sumerian, means demon. And Lord means Satan. So, that's why I'm kind of a stickler on etymology, right? That's why I loved that word that I came across in my writing. I use all these words and then I forget to use them. Right now, I only have 6 teeth left in my head, so certain vowels and consonants. But perfidious, I'll have to say that more and more, and it'll get easier and easier. But when your perfidious nature goes to being lazy and accepting the illusion, and then doing all of the mean, cruel, terrible things, the devil isn't doing that. You are, right? You can step up. You are like Daffy Dummy Duck with a devil on one shoulder and an angel on the other, and you get to choose every nanosecond when to be that devil of that selfish, perfidious self, right? And I tell you, it's a lot easier being that angel than being that perfidious dude. And it's no fun being the perfidious dude. What can you get? So you get a few dreckle, some money, some car, some this. You have some meaningless sex. You're cruel. You get off on making people suffer. But at the end of the day, not so good, right? So, your conscious mind is totally focused on your breath. Breathing in that prana, and you're energizing your whole body. You're filling your lungs, because while you're breathing that 20% in, more. What you're doing is you're lifting your diaphragm, opening up your lungs, so those little aola of those sacs there, they normally are covered up, but when your diaphragm lifts up like that, it opens those little cilia to take in the prana and then transport it into the red blood cell. And the red blood cell doesn't go blub, blub, blub. It swirls, goes clockwise against the wall of the vein, the artery, the capillary. And inside that swirl goes another swirl going counterclockwise. And inside of that one is another one going that way. And it creates, because your blood is full of iron, its swirl is a polyphase alternating current, which creates a scalar wave, not a Hertzian wave, which is the wave of illusion, but a scalar wave. And the Hertzian wave has an X and a Y. Scalar has 16 different dimensions going all over the place, right? And that's what brings the photonic light of love's co-creation. And how you know something's photonic light is when there's not a shadow. See this, right? That's a shadow there. That's Hertzian light. Scalar, no shadows. Can't even tell where it's coming from. So see that strongly. See that light going inside of you, going into every cell of your body, and you are grounding it through your chi. So you're breathing in Father Sky and grounding it out through the chi into Mother Earth. And that's not the duality, that's the completion of the male and the female, right? And that's why, I always say step, sweep. The step is the female and the sweep is the male. You would know, oh, I can't believe that. No, that's what it is. I'm sorry. The male is the inferior to the superior female because every, when love's co-creation creates a fetus, right? What it's doing, every fetus, when it comes, when that sperm hits that egg, you got it. And that cytoblast females, right? This guys, but we're all females. And why are guys and gals gay and LGBT? They all of that because not everyone's the same. And when you get that blast of the hormone, some of it's not enough to push you over to being a guy or keeping you a gal. There is the in between. And that's the beauty of the diversity of the Homo sapiens sapien. There aren't too many transgendered gorillas, But if you read any of, good old Miss Goodall, you will see that men, male chimpanzees, breastfeed the young, just like the women do. I mean, I got nice tits, If I had enough hormones, and I could inject the hormones in, and bingo, I could breastfeed a baby. And that's one of my little theories of bringing peace to Earth is having men breastfeed their children. Then they'd be a little more less active to let their kids die in useless wars just because they want to be manly. Yep, that's what our little, going into state is about. Exactly. Learning, acting, trying. Yep, that's what we're doing here. So, 2. Your conscious mind is totally focused on your breath. You have quieted the squirrel in your head, and you can chat because your true self is chatting, not the squirrel, right? And that's fine because that's part of the communication. That is the part of learning, listening, playing, acting, helping, loving, trying. That's part of it, right? Ride did that right there, right? Learning, listening, playing, acting, helping, loving, trying. Yep. So anyway, there you are. You're observing your cells, make other cells by that prana being turned through scalar energy in your blood into photonic energy, which is covering every cell of your body, and you were watching your mitochondria go nuts with lightning bolts of photonic light. And that is a evolving, elevating, ascending your consciousness into the state where you can go in your imaginary mirror right behind your eyelids, right behind your eyebrows, and that's where you have dream time. That's where you have REM sleep, rapid eye movement. That's when you're dreaming and your eyes are zipping around and they're looking at the screen, which are your eyelids. And so you're illuminating that screen with this photonic light, and that illuminates you and brings your vibration up to the point where you're no longer just a mud puppet, when you're no longer just subservient to the illusion of Lucifer, right? Where You can project that light into your subconscious, which is not the scary place. Your subconscious is your Akashic record, a library. So you're shining that photonic light from your imaginary visor into your subconscious, and you're walking into your subconscious. It's a library, all these books everywhere. Big fireplace in front of you, and there's the blue flame of, the eternal flame. And that fireplace, well, those are big stones? No, those are books. Those are Akashic records you're seeing, right? And in front of that fireplace is a bunch of nice lounging chairs for guests, right, who come through the fireplace. When you want to visit with Sasquatch, from Bigfoot, bingo, he'll be hanging out right there. Any of the great masters, the old crone, Akashic, Jesus, Buddha, Vishnu, they all can come visit you through the fireplace. And they will be physically right there, right? And in front of those nice lounge chairs is your reading table. And your reading table is illuminated by photonic light. Meaning you can put anything on that table, put your hand here, and there will be no shadows. So you'll be able to see the information in your Akashic record clearly, because that's what one needs. Whenever you do any kind of job, you need to illuminate, so you can see crystal, right? Clearly. And to your left, behind your reading table is your reading chair, and you kind of go around there and you sit down at your reading chair, and to your left is your librarian. See your librarian clearly. And your librarian brings you your Akashic record and brings you information. To your left of your librarian is your animal totem, and that totem will bring you. You can read things, see things in your Akashic record. You may not understand them. Your animal totem's there as an anthropologic tool to lift away your prejudicial sight, and he does, or she does, or it does it through a story. Just like I, your griot, tell you a story, so you go, and then it clunks around up here in your, Rolodex, and then through your heart. The only true thing in your avatar that's connected is your heart, because this is the CPU. This is what gets the energy, right? Now, you do have chakras above here, and they're like your antenna. And there's this, there's this thing called the venous nerve, right? And you have the hypothalamus and the pineal gland, and they are the radios that go into that antenna of your higher chakras to send the message through the golden string to your Akashic record. And that's why, bingo, you can shine that photonic light through the shield into your, and you just don't see the muddied subconscious. You see the crystal of your library. See it clearly. And two, you're in a deep, deep, deep state of relaxation, going deeper and deeper, and your conscious mind is totally focused on your breath. See it clearly. And you're relaxed, and you're healed, and you feel refreshed, and you feel rejuvenated, and you're sitting behind your reading desk, and your librarian brings you your Akashic record. You open a big leather cover with gold leaf everywhere, and you open up to the middle of the book, 2 blank pages. Put your right hand on the right page, the left hand on the left page. You lean into your Akashic record, and you evacuate, you eliminate, you empty all of the fear, the anger, the self-loathing, all of the negativity have gained this day through living in the illusion, and you see it clearly. You rise above, and you let things go. And you understand, you see, and oh, look, that's why that happened. Because it's no longer that angst, that fear. It's no longer inside of you. See it clearly. In every day and every way, you take the piece of the earth and you make it stronger. And by doing this, by going into state 5, 6, 10, 20 times a day, You can see exactly what you need to do, because when you do it in time, it will give a reflection of, oh man, you're at work, you're talking to your significant other, whatever, that place where you go, ooh, I better not say the wrong thing, better not do the wrong thing, better, you just close your eyes, you go into state. And, in that second that you have your eyes closed, you have an eternity in your Akashic record to see, you can go into your sanctuary of your own choosing. You can do, there are a lot of places you can go to figure out what to do. There are a lot of people you can talk to get the 411, right? So see that clearly. You can do that, right? So you have put all of your angst, your anger, your fear, your self-loathing into the book. Boom, you close the cover, right? And you will go back to that page and see that at a different time, and you will understand deeper and deeper why you did certain things, why certain things have a hold on you, what neuroses, psychoses, what habits you have. I'm a habitual person in a lot of ways. And so, I try to go into state and look at these things and get the 411 on what's going on. See it clearly, you know. So open up the book again, and you're at now another blank page. And we're going to see, we're going to look, we're going to examine what's going on. I don't know. So the screen comes up. You see the big screen, right? And I wanted to just put you in a place where you don't see my face, but you see these guys. And 3, you're in a deep, deep, deep state of relaxation. Your conscious mind is totally focused on your breath. You have illuminated yourself through your imaginary mirror. You've taken that light and illuminated your library. You sat down at your reading table. You have eliminated all the anger and fear into your Akashic record. And you've turned to a blank page. And what we're going to do is we're going to exercise our ability to go and remote view, right? So I want you to go to that state back 1,000,000 years ago when a insectoid race showed up and created the Anunnaki, right? These larger than life white folk. Some people call them, the Germans were looking for the pure race. And who did they find but the Zionists? Anyway, and again, this is all just for your entertainment. Nothing's real. You have to figure out what's real, right? This is your Akashic record. So see what was set up when the Anunnaki were created. And see how one race was, slave. And why other dimensionals like the Draki and the Eben and the other folks who have visited have come and played master, have played sadist, have played really totally, what's the right word? Perfidious creatures of the corporate, military, industrial, scholastic, banking powers that shouldn't be, that hidden hand, right? See it clearly. And see how this is a parasitic relationship. And that TV show, Stargate, is really exactly what's going on, you know? And, that little snake that gets into the host who becomes, the king, but it's not really that human being. It's the parasite inside. And that's the real problem, is that the creature is this parasite. And the parasite doesn't need to be a snake living in someone's head. It's a way of being. It's an intent, you know? And that is the real problem, is that it's hard to fight this intent. It'd be a lot easier to fight, a little snake in somebody's head, right? You can see it, you can pull it out, you could do a lot of things. But having to deal with an intent, meaning having folk who really screw up other people for no reason other than just enjoying their suffering and feeding off their fear and the horrible deaths. I mean, everything that's going on in Syria and Yemen today, it is only there because these creatures are feeding off of all of this. And it's a plan, they want it, Syria. I visited Syria in the early 70s, when the Bashar family was still, it's what it was. The folks who started the revolution weren't the people of Syria. We need to get rid of this guy. No, because that guy was smart enough to let the people have a life. They were given an education. They had health care. They had homes. They had businesses. They had a life. I was in the capital city of Syria once, and it was in the early 70s. And I had gone through, pretending to be a Swedish individual. And, I was, wearing a cowboy hat, a Hawaiian shirt, mirrored sunglasses, cowboy boots, and Madras shorts, pretty much I stood out amongst the crowd. I'd have to say that. And everyone kind of ignored me, and I went and was nice to everyone I met, tried to learn the language that they spoke. I did it terribly, made them laugh, did things that they would shake their head and go, what is this guy? But because I was the only one there, I was not a threat. If there were hundreds of me, yeah, they might have to get upset. But just me, not so much. I amused them. Then when they spoke to me in English and we had an interesting conversation, they would go, wow, you aren't a true moron. You actually are kind of interesting. You actually got something to say. Boy, where do you come from? You're not from this planet. And they said, you can't be an American. And a Swedish, no, you're not Swedish. Where are you from? What are you? And that's how I traveled the world for about 10 years, mostly by myself, and then for a good 3 or 4 years with my first wife, Donna Ann. And she was a great partner. Once we got on the same page and, she got relaxed, she didn't have to worrying about playing people. It was a good thing. Anyway, there I was in Syria. And yes, it was a despotic government, but everyone, you could walk. I was walking the street one night. I went out with some guys that I met who were, natives of the neighborhood. And, we hung out at this one guy's place. He kind of had a coffee shop, and we stayed there, getting jiggy and having a good time and talking about poetry and all these kind of things that they couldn't believe that an American would talk about. And they still couldn't believe I was an American, And I said, I'm not an American. I'm from New York. And they go, oh, yes, New Yorker. Okay, we understand. Anyway, so I, it was time to go. I was like getting picketed, and these guys were just getting more juiced on the coffee and the other stuff they were smoking. So I said, I got to go to sleep. And they said, okay. And so they were so, twisted. I just said, I'm going to go back, and they were say, fine. And it wasn't until I got out the door that they said, it's 3 a.m. and it's like past curfew, and we just let Al walk out the door by himself. Anyway, I was walking down the street, and I had no idea where my hotel was. Now, I knew the name of my hotel, and I knew what street it was on, but I had no idea where it was. So I walk up to a guy. There was only this one guy. He's like leaning against a car. And I go, excuse me, sir, can you tell me where blah, blah, blah is? And he goes, oh, yeah. And he starts to explain. And then he looks at me and goes, you're never going to be able to find it. Let me take you there. I'll give you a ride. Oh, thank you. So I get in the car. He drives me right to my hotel. I get out and, we talk a little bit and I thank him and he smiles and he goes, well, that was nice. I enjoyed talking to you. And he goes, can I see your papers? And I said, sure. So I showed him my visa, which said I was Swedish, and an international driver's license that said I was Swedish. And he kind of just started laughing. He goes, really? I said, yeah, for sure. You want me to speak some Swedish? And he just said, no, just go to bed. So I walked up the steps, walked in, went to my room, got my key and my passport no, not my passport, just my key. I had to hand in my visa to the guy at the desk. Anyway, so I went to bed, and a day or so, I kind of rolled up against the guys I spent the night with in their coffee shop, and they said, oh, my God, you're okay. And I said, sure, I'm okay. What's the problem? He goes, well, once we sent you on your way, we realized that we shouldn't have done that because you had no idea. You were like a little, altered states, and you had no idea where the heck you were. And so we went up and we looked out the window and you were talking to a guy. I said, yeah, he was a really nice guy. He brought me to the hotel and they go, you know who that guy was? I go, no. He goes, that was the secret police. So even in Syria, the secret police, I was nice to them. They were nice to me. It was obvious I was just a chuckleluck and not, some spy or any kind of threat to national security. So that guy was okay. Now his boss, a different story. But I saw that Syria was not, New York City was more dangerous than, the capital of Syria. And so the people who took what turned Syria into this hell on earth were the powers that shouldn't be, the bankers, and the folks who were in the streets were agent provocateurs, not the people. And ISIS came from us. We made the Iraqi army into ISIS. See this. I want you to now go through your remote viewing and see who did what, where, when. What, American CIA, NSA, what English MI6, what, Mossad, or any other, intelligence groups, because, we aren't run by nation states, the hidden hand, and they have elements in every government pulling the strings. So I want you to see this, right? And I'm going to just leave you to see it, right? I am not going to speak for a moment or two. See it clearly. And 3, you're in a deep, deep state of relaxation. Your conscious mind is totally focused on your breath. And your conscious awareness of your free will is in your Akashic record. You are seeing 1952, 1947. It's 1947. And you're on the corner of Park Avenue and 69th Street. That's right where the building. It's a big, old Victorian 19th century building. And on the outside, it's kind of brownstonish. And there are pillars and big windows. And at the top, there's a section that there are a lot of big windows all the way around, right? And they're equidistant. So it's a big hall on the top floor. And in that, there is a round table. And sitting around that round table is about 30 to 33 people. And they are all members of a group called Majestic. And they represent different elements of the military, industrial, scholastic, banking, et al. Institutions of the hidden hand. And they are creating the motif of the national security state. Now, they've been working at this now for 300 years, but they were known as other things. They've been known as the Council for Foreign Relations. In the public eye, and this public eye is really not well known, not well publicized, but members of the media, Mr. Paley, Sarnoff, Mr. Ford, Mr. Rockefeller, and the Rockefeller, sons and their children are members of this, and the Morgans and the Pierpoints and Carnegies, their corporate entities are part of this. And this is the element that has become the fascist corporate state. Now, it has been there since the beginning, since Christopher Columbus, but it has become codified, institutionalized, and turned into a religion through the acclamades of the Federal Reserve banking system, because it has gotten the public to believe that everything that they say is what it should be. They've gotten the public addicted to consumerism. They've gotten the public addicted to the concept that the authority of these entities, the Council on Foreign Relations, the Brookings, the Ford Foundation, the Rockefeller Foundation, the United Nations, all of these entities represent security and the benefit. They're there to benefit the public, the masses, all our relations. No, they're there to live off them. And what you see in front of you, right? Those skulls, those ghosts, those are the spirits of the hidden hand, the powers that shouldn't be. See it clearly. And again, I'm going to be quiet, and you're going to listen. You're going to remote view not only into that building, but back in time. And you're going to hear the conversations they're having about what they're planning. And you're going to see that they're talking about, before they even built the World Trade Center, they're talking about blowing it up. The people who built the World Trade Center were the Rockefeller brothers, David and Nelson. See it clearly. See this cabal. That's what they are, a cabal. And I want you to see all of this and realize that you can go back to your Akashic record and see everything about them. You can see in the Akashic record, keep really good notes, good records. They don't show it to anybody. but they're there and you can see them in your Akashic records. And you can see, I keep talking that we need to develop an alternative aesthetic. And what that alternative aesthetic is, the aesthetic that's the alternative to this. See it clearly. And three, you're in a deep, deep, deep state of relaxation. Your conscious mind is totally focused on your breath. Your conscious free will has left your avatar and has an Akashic record. And you're looking into your Akashic record at the screens, and the 28 screens are all around, giving you insights from every different angle of what this is, who these people are, why they're doing it, what powers over them, what satanic, occult, and esoteric. Now, the occult and esoteric are just hidden, unknown information from the general public. It's not the skull, the ghost, that is brought forth from the dimensional, right? From the spirits of, the ancient ones. And now every caste, every group, every species has good, bad, and ugly. So in the reptiles, there are good reptiles, right? In the insectoids, there are good insectoids. In the Ebon and the other dimensional and I don't like to call them extraterrestrials because they actually came from here. They're just from different places here. And that's why they're the 28 screens all around the two major screens. So I want you to look at the little screens and see where everybody came from, what their motivations are, why they are doing what they're doing. And that will give you the 411 on what to think about as the alternative aesthetic. And that alternative aesthetic is the presence of the beauty of love's co-creation, the presence of the artist in the first person as the bohemian that is the savage. And that savage isn't like mean and cruel, no. The savage, like, you look at the caveman. The caveman didn't hit people over the head. No, the caveman was a, vegetarian, didn't fight. The caveman was the artist in the first person. He's the guy who scribbled to express how he really felt. And that savage existed all the way up to the Tower of Babel. And when the Tower of Babel was thrown asunder, so were all the characters of the metaphors, which became the races. There's only one race, the human race. But there are yellow people, and black people, and red people, and white people, and others too, right? And before this, races, and what is the race? They're running, getting nowhere. That's what races do. And they were all speaking, before we were telepathic. We didn't have to speak. That's why we only had one mouth and two ears to hear with. And we could psychically understand. So no one could lie, no one could cheat, no one could steal because everyone was telepathic. Everyone knew it. And we're comfortable with it. It wasn't like someone was, getting into our space. No, no one hid. Everyone shared. We lived in a world of abundance, not a world of scarcity. See it clearly. And I'm going to be quiet now, and I want you to see and open your heart to all that you see. And I want you to go back and back and back into state on your own and look in your Akashic record at this remote other times, other places, and you will be able to understand. And in that understanding, you will find that thing that makes you the artist in the first person, the savage. And I tell people, oh, you're an artist. And oh, no, I can't draw a straight line. No. I mean, you can be an artist brushing your teeth. You can be an artist at anything. Artist is just being the intent of savage in the first person. That's all the artist is. See it clearly. All of us in the rap do that. We are the champions. We are the champions. Go buy Bohemian Rhapsody or listen to it on Spotify or wherever you listen to music. Get those tunes in your head, The Who has a few good tunes. So does the Beatles. And that whole time, music was quite interesting, And that was the mix of classical to folk to blues and jazz, and then into rock and roll, and into spoken word, into hip hop, into rap. And they're all the same. And music, if it's good, is the carrier wave of the soul. If it's not, it's just a product of propagandistic crap. And that's what Hollywood is. What is Hollywood? It's, what makes magic wands. That's why they put Hollywood up there. Because it has that illusion. What is a magician? It's a guy who can, conjure, tricks, distract, 3-card Monty, look for the little pea under the, jar. Don't take your eye off it. And that's why you have the Akashic record, for you to go deeper past the illusion into what matters. The only thing that matters. Oh, that takes a bit out of me. I have to stretch a little bit. Anyway, how you all feeling? Let's see. Yep, we can see it in the chat. Yeah. Is treating the children to kill without remorse. Yep. And we're not here to do that. It is an intent. They indoctrinate people to think and act like that through movies, music. Yep. Mm-hmm. And that's why we have to make art. That's why we need to have the traveling video art circus to be the antigen to this. That's why we need to build the Humanities Artist Trust International. That'll be a 501c3 umbrella that will umbrella the Institute for Aesthetically and Adept and Appropriate Technologies, and the Traveling Video Art Circus, and the No Fear Cafe, and the Freely Inquiring Society, and every other entity that these entities will flower. Right? Ta-da! Yep. Let's see, go back to, and all your output has not diluted, but enriched the info of your channel. Yep. And even when it's not the best, it's super low frequency. The conversation always gets better. Yep. I need a team. I'm doing this all by myself, And when spring comes, everyone who can get their little self physically to the deep green, we will sit around the fire and develop these projects I want to bring forth through all of you. It's not me doing this. All of us are going to be doing this. Right? Ta-da! Yep. Can you guys see me in the chat? Yep. We can see you in the chat. And you can hear me, guys, right? I'm not like just talking into the wind because we buffered a few times. Am I here? Did you get this? Oh my! It's been good. But can you hear me? Am I here? Did everyone get the remote viewing? Did you see that? Did you get that experience so you can go do it yourself? Yep, good. You can hear me. Good. Then you saw all of that. And again, you guys can go back. And that's the beauty of the old YouTube. You can quickly tune these guys up. Um, they're there energetically in the same fashion. The Dude Awake 42 at Gmail. And I'm pretty sure that, yeah, I mean, you guys understand the technology way better than I do. Meaning, John was really nice to give me for my birthday a laptop, but the laptop had no software whatsoever on it. And why? I mean, it's a nice laptop only to work on Chrome, and and that means Google is there to suck up every nuance of whatever I do on that computer, which is fine by me, because Google realizes that as we fish Google, they are making us dead to rights, right? In their algorithms. They're sucking our soul into their servers. But they don't know me too well, do they? If once I figure out how to use that computer or any other computer to enhance my YouTube experience, as I should be doing, because they're starting to get a hold of me saying, hey, oh, this is a great channel, man. Oh, but you need to use this and go that and get on our YouTube blah 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 and then we'll monetize you and blah 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 blah. And I go, fine, good, but I still don't know. I try to use it, but I can't even figure it out. So that's kind of why I need, we need a team, because I need to know what you guys know, and you need to be right next to me on your laptops and getting that laptop up to speed, and then we can put forth all of these entities. And again, you go back and we go look at the house that we all live in, and that is the Oracle of Delphi, and it looks like Frank Lloyd Wright's house that he made in Pennsylvania called Falling Water, right? And it's a really big falling water, a lot bigger than his, right? It's like the TARDIS, a lot bigger on the inside than outside. And, you walk in the big 40-foot doors of the house of Falling Water, and over the doors it says, know thyself. You go into the entrance hallway, and there are the 9 doors, right? Just like in your Akashic record and your library have the 9 doors. And you walk further into the common room, and what in front of the common room is the hedgerow longhouse, and that's where we go into council, where we all sit around in the longhouse, and we're protected by the hedgerow. And to the right of the common room is where you can get whatever you want, whatever food or whatever just fun you want. There it is. And to the left is the doorway to everyone's personal lodge. And you can get into your personal lodge either through the common room, or there's a shortcut from your library into your lodge, right? And in your lodge, you have, just like the old crone's farmhouse, you have everything the old crone's farmhouse has. And you have this garden that goes out from the dining room out, or it's more than a dining room. It's where you have large feasts. And there are these big French doors that go out to a beautiful patio and slate steps that go down into your garden. And in your garden is the tree of knowledge, and there is the pond of the great link of all our relations, and there is a greenhouse, and there is Master Akasha K's Hambu, and there is also the Great Carnival, the big tent. And these are all places that you can access information and experience, right? And I, as your Sensei Al Bob, encourage you at your own leisure to use this. Practice makes perfect. Yes, I'll take you on guided meditations and show you all this stuff, just like you're looking at it right now. But it's yours to use. I'm just your Sensei Al Bob. I'm just your griot. I'm here to lead by example. Doesn't mean I'm doing the right thing. Like I say, don't believe anything I say. And the best way to check it out is to go into your own Akashic record and see all this stuff for yourself, because it's yours. It's not mine. It's yours. And that's the place where you can actively you do that. That will be better than any. Yep, just when I said that, we were buffered. Am I back? Am I here? It's getting towards 2 hours. I'm getting tired. Let's have a little conversation, gang. Let's hear from the folk. Okay. You're back. Okay. Yep, watch it back later. And again, contact me on the Dude Awake 42 Gmail, and go on about what you thought about this and what you thought about last night's little guided meditation, and anything else I kind of lay down. Yes. And that's why do you think I do it? I do it because you are my cadre. You are my adepts. I am your sensei. I serve love's co-creation by taking care of you guys. That's why I do it. Not to monetize or to, become rich and famous. No. Not so much, Well, we're getting a lot of views, get close, 30-something thousand, but not even 300 members of the cadre. But quality over quantity. And a lot of people get a hold of me on the old Dude Awake 42 at Gmail, which is also very pleasant. And again, you guys constantly send me beautiful little cards and paintings. Did you see this afternoon? Go to the the morning afternoon chat. I did, and Dragon sent me a bunch of his art, and he sent it from when he was 11 years old and when he was 20 years old, and they were both pictures of the cadre. He has this one that's really amazing of the tree of knowledge and the roots, and there's a mushroom, I talk about the fungi, and then there's a bridge, just like the bridge between your Akashic record and your superconscious mind, the sanctuary of your own choosing, the bridge of the id, and there is the old crone's house floating in space. Go take a look at this one right before this one, today's, right? And it's Dragon's art from when he was 11 and 20, and now he's pushing 40-something. So he saw us doing what we're doing 20 years ago and made a drawing of it. And the one of the tree, and then it shows dreamy time. It really captures dreamy time. He did that when he was 11. That's what I love. When you guys, he's not the only one who has sent me things like that. And that's what I love. Yes, I also appreciate, he sent me Canadian money, like, I'm not going to turn that in. Give me a $5, Canadian $5, and it's like a styrofoam cup. And I was running it in front of the camera, and there is a chip in there, and it affected the screen. When I moved the bill across in front of the camera up here, it put this line right where, when I moved the thing across there, right where the chip was, which you couldn't see, it put a line through the screen. It was like, yes, so I put that in my wallet. I'm keeping that. That's a lucky fiver, that's for sure. I'm not getting rid of that sucker. And you can always tell a country how groovy it is by how strange and wonderful their money is. Like when I was in Africa, the African money was like, you know, a Dali painting. Our money is fucking boring, green with dead people on it. Ick, right? So anyway. Oh, 2 hours and 39 minutes. So anything else? Let's see. Time is a mirror. Yep, helps me to calm and not freak out. Well, buddy, Mr. Fish, there's nothing to freak out. Whatever anxiety or fear, and that's our own doing. Whatever anxiety we have, it's our own doing. The average person, I have no place to live. I'm nanosecond to nanosecond. Oh my God. I'm like home alone. Yes, excellent. It's like we're longitudinal waves moving back and forth through time. Hey, that's why I do this. This is pretty cool stuff, man. Yeah, yes, I've been doing this since I was 19 or so. But, I'm a moron too. When I was 16, man, I was so cool. I had it down. I was like a magician. I could do stuff that was like, how do you do that? When I worked for Xerox, I would just place my hand on the machine. The other guys who wore the uniform, the white shirt, the black tie, the black pants, would take the sucker apart, and they would get covered in toner. They went through hundreds of white shirts, a year. Me, I would just lay my hands on the machine. My boss loved me, That's how I got to. So I worked for this foundry, right? Joe Battle, right? And I was learning how to weld and how to cast in bronze and copper and silver and you name it. I was learning how to cast. But I was also doing the exotic things. I mean, we worked in exotic metals, which was, Joe was a DARPA boy. Even though our foundry was in the middle of, Red Hook, Brooklyn, surrounded by gonzos and gangsters, we were making weird shit for, we had no idea what that little the cog gizmo, we call them the gizmo. That's what the guys in, out there in New Mexico, they call them the gizmo. And that's what we were making. We were making parts for a gizmo, and we were casting them out of exotic, where I learned my alchemy gig. So 18, I was like hot shit, man. I could do stuff that nobody else could, And I was getting a lot of, creds from the folk, and I was always being watched after, taken care of, being sculpted into something. Anyway, at a certain point, I had one of my little experiences of dying, and my real masters kind of were just laughing their asses off, going, "What a moron, kid! Come on, wise up, You've got all this juice not to do what you think you're doing. No, it's to serve love's co-creation." Puppet. Well, it just sharpening my pencil, And I'm still 20% a moron, which is okay. Morons is a noble caste, Especially when you realize you're a frigging moron. When you're aware of being a moron, then you are a high-level moron. Almost a idiot savant. So that's where we're all, as long as we're in this avatar, this bag of water, we have our limitations. So that's why I'm not going anywhere, That's why I'm doing this. That's why I reached out across the digital divide to you guys. And that's why I am okay with, not even 300 yet, right? 300 is going to be the magic move. That's the 300 was what was that the Greek great city state kept the Persians, away with 300, right? And then they outlasted the Persians long enough for the other Greek city states to stop arguing, get on their boats, and go kick the Persians' ass. And that's who we are. We are that 300. We are keeping, the what is that term? We are keeping the Providius, Perfidious, the Providius at bay, right? That's what we're doing. We're keeping those morons. No, we're the morons. They're Providius. Go look that word up, you three. Or if anyone of you are left over from the earlier part when our cadre looked it up, or watch this over again. But I'm getting to a point where I'm almost, delirious here, just kind of blabbering away. Anyway, so that was fun. I love you all. Keep up the good work. Again, in all of your own little towns and all your own little villages and cities and states and countries, build your own cadre. Get a, no fear cafe going. Have an art gallery. Have potluck dinners. Have a book club. Create a salon. Well, Fish, if it wasn't fun, I wouldn't do it. It can be tiring. It can be, but, this is what I have to do. My masters have told me, get on the shtick, kid, or else. And so I'm doing this, And they'll take care of me. They have been, now, for 6 years, Well, my doctors, I just had, a big time looking at, they lifted the hood up and kicked the tires. And all my doctors said, man, you are getting healthier and healthier while you're still almost dead. This is like, we can't figure it out. How do you do this? And I go, well, it's called intent and meditation and service. And, a couple of my doctors watch, they are part of the viewership, They haven't, jumped into the chorus. I haven't quite got to be the cadre. I asked one of my, so you watch, oh yeah, I watch it a lot. So I said, why don't you subscribe? He goes, how do you know I haven't? I said, hey, I know. He goes, how do you know? They don't write my name down. How do you know? I said, I don't go by IPs, buddy. There's this thing called energy. I know. And he says, really? So, well, have you subscribed? He goes, no. I said, but I know you watch. So anyway. And again, it's not so much I know, it's just my master, give me a little insight, Half the people who